This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL, but you're encouraged to like and share them on social media. It's time for Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World in downtown Fort Pierce and hosted by Joanne Seeger.
Good morning, everyone. It's so good to be with you this morning. So happy Thursday. I am just absolutely loving this Treasure Coast weather we're having here in Florida. It's like, for us in Florida, it's like whenever we get below 70, it's really, really awesome.
We call FEMA.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like fresh air and a little wind and a really nice. I'm hearing a little country music in my ears, though, so we could definitely correct that.
Song.
Maybe it's playing in my brain and I don't even know it.
Your theme song always leads you in all the way.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my gosh, the good old country line dancing days. All right, everyone. Well, besides the country music in my ears, it's so good to be with all of you guys this morning. And I want to welcome a guest back that I am beyond thrilled that he gave us another hour. So, Dr. Cass Ingram, how are you this morning?
Thank God you complain. You're doing good. You're hanging in there, and in a world that's a bit out of control right now.
Yes, definitely out of control. And I'm hoping, we had such a great show and all my listeners loved listening to all your wisdom. And you got the nickname the Wilderness Doc. Can you elaborate so my new listeners might get to know you a little bit?
Well, I love going into the bush and the forest, the trees and so on, the nature and evaluating what's good, what is seemingly instructive to us, what could be a medicinal plant. So it's kind of that way where the oregano's in the mountains of the Mediterranean, in the high mountains away from any human, the camu in the vitamin C product coming from the Amazon in the flatlands where it floods, and so the camu grows there. Those are wild plants. The greens that we use to unlock the liver, gallbladder, the greens flush, and the super 5 or the Dandomax. Those are wild greens that are pressed, that have to be found like 3 hours above the border of the U.S. away from any gravel road.
How do you know where to look for all these things throughout your career? So how long have you been doing all this now?
It's about 40 years.
That's a long time.
It's just there's not much wild area left. You know what I'm saying? So you have to find something remote.
Okay.
Like the chaga, the best chaga growing in the remote forests, and the birch bark that you take from trees where there's really no human presence.
So do you first find the wild areas and then kind of go in there and see what medicinal qualities the plants have that are still left?
Pretty much. And there's some things you already know. The history of burdock and dandelion are pretty good, but you know that these plants attract heavy metals, so you have to go somewhere where there's no human activity to get them. And even the oregano, most of our oregano oil today that you see in the marketplace is actually farm raised. But that's not going to do any good. Why do we want to deal with combines and gassing out and pesticide and herbicide residues and artificial fertilizers, cloning in a greenhouse to make standardized oregano oil, so-called, when there's one or two companies left in the world, and you primarily support the originator that have the villagers collect the wild oregano in the mountains, where you can't even get there. You'd have to have a donkey train to get up to those rocks, and then you have to scale the mountains by hand all the way to the peak. And only at a certain time because of the weather patterns.
All right, Dr. Cass.
So,
So let me back you up just a little bit. So for any new listeners, Dr. Cass Ingram, like I just mentioned, he's kind of commonly known as the wilderness doc, and he loves finding the most incredible plants that just are things that we might have in our spice cabinet, but if you get them from that area that's not contaminated, you can have amazing health benefits. And one of the ones that I love the most that he discusses is oregano oil. And you
yeah,
definitely
the
opened my
oregano,
eyes to the whole world of oregano. So let's start there, and why not
yeah.
the stuff grown on a farm, and why do we got to get the ones the donkeys got to get?
Well, we did that human clinical trial on COVID-19. Two of them, one on cases, active cases and pseudo-active cases, and another on 50 nurses that could readily contract the disease. So we gave the oregano spray, the oil, the Orega Resp material, the Resp. I don't think the company is going to endorse this, but I did this study, right? So, and oregano juice. Well, how come in 9 months none of the 50 nurses are sick with the disease process? And why, when we treated the 18, included 2 people on a respirator who would have died, and they were told they were going to die, but they just did something silly like rub 2 drops of oregano oil on the feet and the shins. He got off, and he lived to talk about it. We should be all interviewing him. He's like Lazarus or something. And then the other one was coded and was told we're going to probably not make it. And they just moved in on her and sprayed the oregano spray to the back of the throat repeatedly, and she's still alive to talk about it. Why? How? It has to be more the energy. Even though oregano is a tremendous antiseptic, a tremendous antiviral, there's an energy in the wilderness that you cannot duplicate in the lab. You understand?
I do understand. I totally agree with that. And so some of my listeners might not have caught on to what you meant by the donkeys going up. So the Dr. Cass is talking about most of the oregano that we buy from the supermarkets or some other brands might be grown in regular, farming techniques where these are grown on rocks and absorbing all the minerals.
You see, standardized.
Yeah, I know. We are definitely getting away from the wilderness type plants. And so now I've been using the oregano oil for at least 30 years, right? And I've been doing it with my kids anytime I see any sign of infection, whether it be their tummy or sinus, respiratory. But you mentioned a great point about using it on the skin in case. Now, do you use that instead of putting it in the mouth if someone can't tolerate the spiciness, or?
So you've got capsules or drops, right? You can pop the capsule or take the drops, and in addition to your internal intake, you can take advantage of its aggressive lymphatic absorption potential, where you rub the oregano oil on the feet where there's hundreds and hundreds of pores, the most absorbable area in the body. You rub on the shins where the lymphatics attach directly to the bone, and you benefit from that immediate translocation through into the lymphatics.
Okay, do you do it with a carrier oil or just pure oregano?
No, directly from the product.
Okay, so right from the oil. And I've been drinking the micellized juice, and I love that.
Oil. What was that?
I've been drinking the micellized juice, the one with pomegranate and without. I love them. They're a little easier maybe for a newbie if they're not used to the real spicy pure oil. So are you, I know that you love going outside the box and saying things right from the heart. So when we talk prevention, no matter whether it be COVID or flu or respiratory issues. I mean, before COVID, so many people were sick with respiratory issues.
Oh yeah, so, whatever happened to that?
Yeah, right. But in general, what would you suggest if someone I have a good friend that way before COVID, every year she would get severe respiratory distress where her cough would last 3 months. Which one of the oregano oils would you personally choose if you were that person?
Well, I would always go with the oil because you can rub it on the chest and the feet and shins in addition to taking it internally. But with that kind of a history, I'm going to be doing the oregano juice like you are for that
Okay.
chronic respiratory that could lead into a cough. You can't get rid of it. I'm going to take that preventively. And you're not going to get anything if you take that.
Okay,
It's
gotcha.
like,
So more like an
I mean,
everyday preventative.
well, I mean, it's big. The thing is, if you add the oregano oil in the juice, probably nothing could happen to you all until you die of old age digging carrots in the Florida sand or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
our
what's
sand I
going to
don't think
happen?
is going to grow anything. All right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, when I went to the village doctor in Turkey, up in the mountains, he's an illiterate guy, nice guy. He says, "You Americans are funny with this oil of oregano. We don't use it like that. We use the juice." I said, "Well, this was before we even knew about it. What do you use it for?" And he shows me these Pepsi bottles. He had them corked. He was making his still. We use for heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. We're not even talking about bronchitis like we are, or chest congestion, or seasonal flu. They're talking about hardcore.
wow. And
And I'm
so
going like, you want to get me arrested and put in jail if I start talking about that?
yeah, well, you love tempting
Huh?
fate, don't you? Well, all right. So definitely drinking it like a tonic, like a fresh squeezed
Yeah.
juice. Okay. That's
This
awesome.
is the
And
village way.
yeah, and
Yeah.
sometimes
I,
people when they see the tiny little bottles I sell from North American, they're like $18 retail, and they're like, "There's no way this little innocent oil can do all the things you say." And I'm like, "Just spend this. It's less than $20. What do you have to lose?" And I'm like, "You don't want to do
yeah.
antibiotics. You don't want to take those prescriptions because most of the time they don't
Antibiotics aren't
work."
cheap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they're not going to work, right? So, and they're going to cause more harm than good. They take the oregano oil. They usually call me within 24 hours and go, "Well, I think it was just coincidence, but all my symptoms are gone." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what it was. It was just coincidence, you know." But for
Ah,
under $20 and doing no harm to the body, other than the
yeah.
spiciness. But now I'll tell them shins and feet as well. They'll be happy
Yeah.
about that.
No. The guy got off the respirator with 7 cents worth of oregano oil per day.
Wow,
That's
that's
okay.
pretty
Yeah.
affordable. And that's the thing is that maybe, you and I are of that generation where we say, why not? I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't have a
we are.
side effect. It's affordable, it's available, so why not, you know?
Why not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
And it save you from all the misery of medical intervention. That's got to be worth something.
Exactly, and you can do it safely at home. You don't have to get into that whole really stressful environment of the health system until you really are desperate. When hopefully, if you do
I
these
tell you,
steps, you don't get desperate.
surgery, invasive surgery, dental surgery, medical is all just so difficult, and medical diagnostics too.
Yep.
Whereas you could take the high mountain wild oregano from the wild bush areas, no human being goes, and spend 20 or 40 bucks and perhaps prevent countless side effects and toxicity and medical, contraindications.
Definitely. It's
It could
something.
save you so much trouble.
Yeah, and one thing you mentioned dental, I have a wonderful testimony. So in my family alone, and it was one of my oldest shows that I've done, I talked about oil pulling, and afterwards, it's not usually in the text about oil pulling, but I say do 1 drop of oregano oil in your mouth right afterwards, and just kind of like that swish and swallow mouthwash that North American has.
Yeah,
I tell people same thing. Just kind of move it around the mouth. If you feel like you want to spit or swallow, whatever you feel like instinctively, but I think it definitely keeps my family away from the dentist. I mean, we
yeah, I
save
think so
so much
too.
money.
I think so too. That any surgical or what you would call medical intervention, if we could avoid some of that, some of it's necessary and inevitable, and they, God bless our technicians. But the ideal world would be to be like Methuselah. You're about 752 and a half or whatever. Say you're 100 or 93, and you're kicking along. Maybe you're messing with the lawnmower and you keel over and drop dead, or you're digging turnips out of the garden.
Okay.
Just to avoid the nursing home and the critical care center and the hospice and all the tubes and multi-million dollars worth of drugs. That's just like a godsend. If I can help your audience live that way, I've achieved something.
I agree. Well, that's my goal too, with me and all my customers that, we can't guarantee how many years we'll live, but let's live with quality. The whole idea to me is always quality over quantity. I want my last days to be feeling vibrant and healthy and joyful, not, tied to 7 different pharmaceuticals and in hospice. So,
Yeah,
and I always believe it's never too late. And honestly, it's people like you that have kind of stuck to the course of telling people about these plants that are always been there, always been there. You just have to get them sourced correctly and not buy the GMO garbage.
Yes, this is it. And then, of course, black seed oil is another adjunct that is extremely good for the cardiac muscle.
Yeah, so
So
black
between
seed
the oregano
oil.
oil and the
Yeah,
oregano
your
extract.
voice cut up a little bit, Dr.
Uh,
Cass. So let me just repeat. So now we're talking about black seed oil, and that is definitely my second favorite. So tell us, where is black seed oil derived from?
Black seed oil is from Nigella sativa, which is a seed that turns black colored. It's a flowering pot. And then there's a whole pod of seeds, and the villagers winnow that, and then they take the seeds directly to the factory where they press it. You mostly use black seed oil. And
Okay.
black seed oil has a high thymoquinone. You don't find thymoquinone in oregano oil, you see.
Okay.
So that's a different mechanism.
And what is
There's a
that one for?
cardiac,
Okay.
high blood pressure, too rapid of a heart rate, supraventricular tachycardia, heart rate issues, heart failure, bundle branch block, all the coronary artery disease. It's God's gift so that you don't get these coronary diseases. We always thought that having heart disease in the Western world is inevitable. It does not appear to be if you're a black seed user.
I
The
hear all the time
black
now about
seed,
AFib. How about AFib? Would that black seed oil help
yeah,
AFib?
who's got the AFib?
That's what it seems
Who?
like. All my customers now have AFib.
Oh,
It's like younger and
well,
younger men are
yeah,
coming in with it.
it would help quite a bit, but then
I,
AFib is also a thyroid issue.
okay,
Yeah,
so
so they need to take the black seed. Cardio Plus would be great. Maybe the capsules if they can't stand the taste, and then the body shaped thyroid or some kind of really good North American makes Thyroset, something to regulate the thyroid. Is
okay.
because, and then the other one that helps with AFib is chaga, the raw chaga. We don't know why,
Well, yeah, chaga is
but
getting a lot of praise right now as well. So the chaga
yeah,
mushroom.
but I mean you could at least put them on the Cardio Plus. Give them 2 tablespoons a day if they have AFib.
Okay.
That will increase the metabolic rate,
Okay.
and it will
So
increase the metabolism in the heart muscle.
definitely, yeah.
So that
So
is,
it's that's what sometimes we have been taught. I think as Americans, I'm not sure around the world, but to kind of separate our body into these components versus treating ourselves as one. And I think that's when we get in trouble. Treat the heart separately, treat the thyroid separately, like not realizing all these different systems are regulating one another. And so, and I
well,
don't think
you
guys
see,
ever think
T,
about their thyroid.
T3 is T3 is required for heart muscle pumping in the cardiac muscle. So if you're fizzling out, then your heart's going to be flaccid. Instead of a vigorous pump, it would be pumping like this without the T3. And then you form the clots, you get the atrial fibrillation, you get the clots. and you might die of a stroke, and it was a thyroid problem all along.
Wow, that's incredible. That honestly, that didn't come to my thought pattern either. So, because with the men that I usually work with, it's like funny, we don't discuss the thyroid. And maybe because their doctors are also not flagging their blood tests, with the whole T3 and the hormone profile like they do females. I'm not sure.
But the thing is that if they have a pendulous abdomen and they have if they have what's that called, abdominal obesity or peritoneal fat, and they're tired in the morning and they're losing some hair, then you've got the constellation of thyroids. They could go to ebodytype.com and take my thyroid mini test.
Okay, ebodytype.com. Okay.
Yep.
That's right, Dr. Cass. I forgot you have that whole other side of you that's in that. I remember now. Okay. So
diagnostic.
Okay, ebody.com, right?
But my point is that in any disease process, you're right. We have to take a completely holistic assessment to do a good job. So while black seed oil would be extremely helpful, juice of oregano also helps the pumping power of the heart muscle. Let's assess the status of their thyroid.
All right, that sounds awesome. I think this is a perfect time to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about more plants and herbs and their medicinal qualities. So everyone hold on tight, and me and Dr. Cass Ingram will be right back.
Guiding the Treasure Coast in health, one person at a time. That's their motto at Joanne's Nutrition World in the historic arcade building on US 1, downtown Fort Pierce. Joanne brings more than 25 years of experience in the natural health industry right here to you. Take advantage of this free personal guide to wellness and good health. Meet with Joanne herself and get started. Nutrition World always provides you with the hottest new product lines and, best of all, expert advice from the people who care. Call Joanne at 464-3598, 464-3598, and learn the correlation between diet and great health. Stop in today. The expert guidance to health is always free at Nutrition World. Nutrition World in the Arcade Building, US 1, downtown Fort Pierce.
Listen to Joanne's World of Nutrition every Thursday morning at 10 on WPSL.
Join Joanne Seeger as she guides the Treasure Coast to health, one person at a time. Every Thursday morning on Joanne's Nutrition World.
I am so excited to share with all my listeners all the interesting and cutting-edge health topics of today. I look forward to hearing from you. Remember, it's a live call-in show. Any questions you have on health and nutrition, I look forward to answering.
Join us here for Joanne's World of Nutrition, Thursday mornings at 10:05 on WPSL.
And now, back to Joanne's World of Nutrition, brought to you by Nutrition World and hosted by Joanne Seeger.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's having an incredible morning. I just want to mention right now to the end of the month, I am having a special at the Wellness Center. We are offering a detox day package. You get an infrared sauna for about 40 minutes, and that's near, mid, and far infrared at the Sunlight and Sauna Room. And then you go get a beautiful, wonderful massage for about 55 minutes with a 26-year massage veteran. And then you go and get an Ion Foot detox, all in the privacy of the Wellness Center, for only $99. I mean, it's definitely an amazing deal and a great gift for the holiday. All right, enough advertising for the store. So we are here with Dr. Cass Ingram. We're discussing oregano oil, and the brand that I sell at the store is North American, which is, I consider, the best, grown properly and made properly. And then we talked about some black seed oil, which I love as well. And then let's see, we have, Dr. Cass can probably answer any question we might have. So remember, it's a live call-in show, 340-1590. Don't be shy. Any question is okay. All right, Dr. Cass, so we were talking about oregano oil, then black seed oil, and, I have pills and liquids and sprays, and, And I think now I also have, oh, you know what I heard about from a customer from North American? The oregano oil toothpaste.
Oh,
Do you
yes.
use that? Do you use their
A lot of people
toothpaste?
one person said they use it on their acne. And
Really? They put
apparently
it.
the paste dries up and it eats the acne off. So,
Wow. How
because
cool is that?
any acne could, yeah, goodbye. But the toothpaste is just pleasant, right? I mean, that now every time your mouth feels brilliantly fresh, and the tartar and the plaque go down.
Yeah,
So
that's a win-win.
it's
Yeah.
it's not so oregano-y that it's bothersome. It's quite pleasant. You become addicted to this toothpaste.
I love
Yeah.
oregano. I never have had an issue with it. I think it's wonderful. All right, so
Yeah.
then, so can you tell our listeners about why pomegranate is in the cardio juice formula? Why that's important?
Well, the pomegranate is a good thing because it helps the 50,000 miles of arteries stay healthy by helping them be elastic.
Okay.
Then the other is obviously in the Cardio Plus too, which I know that you've had some dabbling in, which is the best black seed oil combination. The Cardio Plus has the pomegranate plus the muscadine plus the black seed. So that's the best, because the pomegranate and or the muscadine, which is in the juice too, those are going to act on the arterial system, whereas the oregano juice, whereas the black seed oil are working more on the heart muscle and the brain, actually, the brain stem. The
Very cool.
cardiac centers are here, you see. And, you or I could have a stress-induced heart attack, but not if we're taking oregano juice and black seed cardio. It's just not going to happen. But you have to take it every day.
Well,
And if you really want to do the prevention, twice a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we do have a caller, Dr. Cass. You excited about what
All right.
question you're going to be asked? All right. Good morning, Lou.
I have a bunch of, it's either Mexican or Cuban oregano.
Speak up real good there so
Yeah,
we can
Lou,
hear
we
you.
can't hear you.
Yeah, that's grown on
growing
soil,
in a
and
pot
that would be
from-
good for salads, for pizza, for flavoring. But that's not what if you were going into COVID land or flu land, USA, and there was all this epidemic and garbage, you want the wild oregano to really give you the job on that stuff.
Okay, so
All
Lou,
right.
so just use that for in your kitchen for food, but not for medicinal qualities, okay?
I'd like to use it as deodorant.
Well,
all right. You can smell like a pizza.
Because to kill that fungus in your armpits.
Yeah, that's
So-
some nice positive goal.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Lou, for
I
calling.
love your program. Bye now.
Thanks, honey. Bye. All right, so hopefully he won't smell like a pizza if he uses it like deodorant.
Well, he will,
Yeah.
but it's better
Well,
than
who
deodorant.
doesn't love some good Italian food? Yeah. All right.
Is that right? So, this is the issue: is that if we're stuck in the middle of a garbage vaccine reaction or a garbage COVID or a garbage flu season, and we're starting to get the junk, you got to go to see Joanne's and get the goods: the juice, the oil, the multiple spice oil capsules, the spray.
Yeah,
The
I have.
antiseptic
I have
spray.
both sprays. I have the little one with like the
Yeah.
clove, and then I have the lemongrass big sprayer.
Oh, you have the big
oh
spray.
my God, I love that
So-
one. I love that
so
one.
Those are guns. Those destroy pathogens on the skin, in the air, in the nasal passages, and obviously whatever you take internally. And our 50 nurses that are still 9 months without contracting a disease, and they're in the front lines big time. They are using the spray preventively in the back of the throat.
Yes, and my husband's been doing it since you talked about it on the last show. And Dr. Cass, I was thinking that lemongrass big pump sprayer is perfect to spray a mask. So if you are
Yes,
going
that's
to be
the
wearing a
one for the
mask,
because that's a pleasant smell. It's going to be mood elevating because lemongrass does fight depression. You know that.
yep.
So that is the best mask spray from that point of view. Now, if it was a nurse, though, they're so exposed, I make them use the Orega spray for that environment because the
Okay.
risks.
Something
Yeah,
stronger. Okay.
yeah, that.
Yeah, I think, for I maybe lemongrass for me, but I definitely feel like no matter how bad of a mood I'm in or how sad I feel with everything that's happening in my environment, if I smell lemongrass, I definitely feel happier. I mean,
It's definitely, without question, proven to lift mood.
yeah, and so here's a weird question that I just thought of. If you had a whole family full of mask wearers, okay, and you want to wash them every night instead of buying so many, what would you use as your detergent personally?
Well, I'd use the Essentia Cleanse lemongrass pump soap.
Oh, okay. So that would smell great but kill all the pathogens, bacteria,
Yes,
viruses.
yes, yes,
Okay.
and not so harsh to destroy the mask and things. And then you have the issue of where you could use the Orega spray or the Essential Cleanse spray itself once they're up and drying, and you just mist that in there, so that you wouldn't have to wash them so much because you'd have that mist in there, and there'd be no way anything could grow.
That's a great idea because it is a struggle. And I'm sure every family can't afford to have 7 masks for every family member. It can get
And
a little
it's
costly.
unfortunately not extremely effective, whereas the oregano in the immune potentiation is.
Yes. And that's, we
So if you
can't
take
overlook
my,
that.
yeah, I mean, you take my research when I'm done with it, when I'll have my 50,000 people and I'll questionnaire them, and the 50,000 that were taking oregano oil, using the oregano spray, putting the Sinureg up their nose, maybe one of them got COVID-19.
Okay. Those
Now
are
you take
pretty good
50,000
numbers.
regular people, and it's going to be so high.
Right. I agree.
So
And
and you could
prevention.
take 50,000 people wearing a mask, and it's going to be so high because mask is only a little bit protective,
I
because
do.
it doesn't maybe do nothing because the virus is too small.
I
Pass
do
right through.
agree. Yeah, everyone is keeps saying that. So now let's not overlook. Let's see what else we got that we need to discuss. Oh, Orega Max. So when would
Oregamax is
yeah.
that's the crude herb.
Okay.
When you go in the mountains, we should show them. Where's my technical staff? They show the mountains in this bag. So you go there and you pick the oregano, and then you grind it up and put it in a capsule.
Okay. So
Oregamax.
when would someone choose to use that one instead of like the soft
Pregnant
gels?
people, because you're going to get vitamin K and the minerals along with the germicide. Nursing need the nutrition. The young children, elderly people who don't want the hot oil, all just someone that wants a good whole mineral supplement,
Okay. Because
something from ionic, from the nature, from the mountains,
okay, perfect.
versus all the typical supplements that we don't know, big horse pills. So this is digestible.
Okay. Can
And
they
for
be
bone
opened up?
mass, we found Orega Max because it's on the rock, high in vitamin.
Okay, let's see. You're breaking up a little bit. So we're talking about Orega Max, opening up the capsules, and we lost you.
Who would ever thought oregano would be the kingpin for yeah, osteoporosis?
That
Yeah.
sounds perfect, Dr. Cass.
So
We broke up a little bit, but I think all our listeners got your point. Okay. All right. So
yeah,
we have Orega Max in the
yep, 'cause
capsule. And we have the super strength
Yeah.
oregano oil. Now, I get asked all the time, so many years of this question, it gets annoying after a point. When super strength oregano oil and when regular strength? Why do we have the two options?
well, let's face it. If it's a mild to moderate thing and it's not so hot, then the regular strength is good. But most of us are at risk for COVID-19 transmission or flu. We're out and around. We're here and there. We're athletic, or we're healthcare workers. We want that extra protection. Most of us are having MRSA or a dental infection or some kind of a chronic yeast that's just persistent. Athlete's foot, toenail fungus, something persistent. Well, you want that super strength. to eradicate those tough chronic Epstein-Barr, hepatitis C. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
We always
Okay.
use a super strength for that. But somebody just says, "Oh, I just want to take oregano oil because I heard it's good for colds and flu prevention." Well, just buy the regular strength, 5 drops twice a day.
Okay. Simple enough. All right. Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. So, and now
Everybody.
all right. We also
Oh.
sell the cinnamon spray that I absolutely love the taste of, but you
Uh-oh,
can
you're
still taste the oregano too.
cheeky on me. Yeah, that's the children's, but the adults are mostly buying that one.
I know my husband uses it. It's so good
Yeah,
though.
it's
So,
it's a good thing. Yeah.
what is there properties to the cinnamon being in there, or is it just to help the flavoring?
Oh, yeah, in 1918 there was a factory that did not get sick. They didn't get the transmission. Nobody fell down and nobody died. No, 1918 was bad.
Yeah, super
And
bad.
that
Yep.
was the cinnamon. They were grinding cinnamon in the factory. The aromatic oils were enough of a germicide to protect the entire workforce from getting the flu.
That's incredible. I didn't know that story. Okay.
Yeah, and so there's an antiseptic. We tested at Georgetown University and found that the oregano was the king, but cinnamon was number 4 of all essential oils in germ-killing power.
Okay.
Cinnamon
Can you
oil.
tell us what number 2
So
and 3
you
are?
get the blood sugar. Yes, they were bay leaf oil of wild bay leaf, also in the mountains on the rock, oil of cumin, and oil of sage.
Okay. Oh, those are all my favorite. And you have a lot of
Yeah.
products that, well, North American has many products that have all those ingredients in them.
Yeah.
So,
Rosemary didn't do very well comparatively.
oh, bummer. It
So
tastes
we
great
tested
though.
many oils. Lavender was okay, and lemongrass showed well.
Okay, but not one of the top
so-
4. Okay.
Well, it was up there. It was strong. So
Okay.
it was stronger than rosemary and I think lavender. So, but I guess the important thing is that oregano was the king, the queen, the jack of spades, and more. So we could just kind of rely on the oil of oregano. If we wanted a little extra, the oregano spray, the sinus oregano spray, it has the bay leaf in it too, and the sage. If we wanted to go cuckoo and protect ourselves from anything that walked, talked, and flew, we might go with the oregano multiple spice, which is the cumin, sage, cinnamon, oregano in one capsule. That's extremely powerful. We tested it. It was 10 times more powerful than oregano oil alone to use the synergy, you see?
Okay, that's important. And there are many listeners that might have digestive disturbances. As we both know, Dr. Cass, America, we're like 74% of us have digestive issues. So where do you see all these aromatic, wonderful, amazing herbs and plants in those people's lives? Because they might be listening saying, oh, I can never take in anything that's so aromatic or so spicy. It will hurt my stomach. What are your thoughts on that?
The fact is that most of the stomach trouble and esophagus is from bacteria and yeast. It would be to just do a trial of a little bit of oregano oil in the juice or Oregamax and see if the digestion is better, not worse.
Yeah.
Are you going to clean the pathogens out a little bit so that you can function better? Come on. We in America are afraid of our shadow. Our shadows can't do anything to us, but we think it's going to come get us.
Right.
Just cut out all of the nonsense, everyone. Since when did anybody die of an oregano reaction? Let me ask this question. By the time this show is done, how many people do you think will have dropped dead in Florida from pharmaceutical drug reactions? In the hospital or at the doctor's office or at their home? Maybe 100, 200, 300? Just in 1 hour. How many dropped dead in the last year from oregano oil or cinnamon? How about 0? How about in the last 100 years? How about 0 again? There's a big difference.
Yeah, that's
Millions
a great
versus
point.
0.
Yep. And I want to make it clear.
Afraid.
Go ahead.
Don't say you're afraid when you go eat the pizza or when you take the pharmaceutical drug. They don't go, oh, what about interactions? And they don't come up to me and say, well, could this damage my stomach? It's already damaged your stomach. That's why you're on the proton pump inhibitor.
That's very good points. You are definitely right on target. Now, and the other thing too is, I don't know, I think North American has gone out of its way to put all these products in very user-friendly, economical forms. I mean, you have toothpaste, mouthwash, sprays, soft gels, capsules, liquids. I mean, every way possible to get a user to have a method that he'll stick with and also economical.
It's every friendly way so we don't get killed as a society from a pandemic germ. If people would just use 3 or 4 of these formulas on a regular basis, we could cut the transmission because we could intercept the problem. But we need more people to do this than to worry about the mask, because the mask's only so far. The plexiglass is only so far. The oregano is way ahead of everything.
I definitely agree. I mean, I've been loyal to it since March. I've been working 6 days a week at the store, and I mean, honestly,
if anybody, you should be sick because of that workload, and you're not even close to being sick.
The funny thing is, Dr. Cass, is that normally, without even having this crazy schedule, I might have like one short, tiny 2-day thing of something. I haven't even had tickle, like nothing. I've been so healthy, and I've been really, though.
Well, you're fumigating yourself.
I know. I'm definitely doing everything I can.
Not just all the fumigation is powerful. The using those sprays and having fun with them, it's just huge.
Oh, I do. I mean, I love diffusers, and I have 2 diffusers in my store, and I do lemongrass all the time, and I always have. In my wellness center, I always run lemongrass. It doesn't seem to bother anyone, and it always smells so nice. But, I tell people, all that matters. Your skin is your largest organ, and it takes in all these things, so why not let it take in good stuff? That's why I mentioned what you wear, what you wash your mask with, because there's a lot of people I know personally that are washing things with all this toxic bleach and perfume detergents, and it's disgusting because those cause health problems as it is.
Now, they're going to get sick. Now, let me predict something. What's going to happen is, as this experiment goes on, if they vaccinate 150 million Americans, they'll say, COVID third round is here, and it's worse than ever, and people are dropping dead on the streets and getting sick and paralyzed, and it's the COVID neurological, it's the COVID cardiac, it's not the COVID. It'll be from the vaccine. And you have too much going on, like you said, with those synthetic chemicals suppressing people's immune systems. Too much chlorine, too much Lysol, too much stink, too much junk in the hospitals, in the hotels, everywhere. And these are suppressive.
Yep.
And you have the one place in the country where you can go and your immune system will go up from what you're doing.
And I give hugs.
Free hugs. Go up twice.
Free hugs.
So the more important thing is what you do for your internal strength, not how many barriers you have. And I'm not disputing some of the if you stand 6 feet or 4 feet, that's irrelevant compared to the oregano and anything to boost immunity.
Right.
Whether it's elderberry, whether it's something good like high quality zinc. We like vitamin A and D, but we take the polar power, the fatty salmon oil, to get them both and to get it in a natural form. We take vitamin C, but we like the camu from the Amazon, so we can get a benefit, so we can get an antiviral action.
I do sell the North American Raw C, and I do want to stress to the listeners that, don't just grab any vitamin C you see on the shelf. You want Raw C from the camu. The body will handle it better and absorb it better. I mean, these things are so much better. Well, I know it's frustrating. It's this because people are not sometimes looking at the whole big picture, which is incredibly important right now.
Well, if you look at vitamin C, it's coming from China. And you're not aware of this, but once it crosses the border, it's contaminated with coronavirus because the Chinese use pork gelatin in the production of their vitamin A, D, and vitamin C. So we're not helping anybody by saying, "Oh yeah, keep taking the vitamin D." Oh yeah, keep taking. Why? If you take instead the camu, it's antiviral. It's coming from the Amazon. It has Rus coriaria in it. The Purely C does, which Rus coriaria is one of the most powerful antiviral herbs known. It's not as powerful as oregano, but it's right up there. And then you're getting acerola. Acerola was shown to kill viruses. I mean, where are we going with this? Are we going to rely on synthetic ascorbic acid from corn and expect it to do anything for us?
Right.
I'm not going to.
Yeah, and you don't know, and
If I
now
had-
everyone's rushing to manufacture things. Who knows what their quality controls are?
It's
Yeah.
a problem.
Yeah, it's a little scary. Ah,
So did you know that for the pigs, the ascorbic acid is sterilized so that they don't get coronavirus from Chinese ascorbic acid? But for the humans, it's not sterilized.
okay, that's wow. I didn't know that one either. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so and the other thing too about D3, you mentioned real quick, and I keep reading over and over again about everyone pushing very high doses of D3, and I want to stress to the listeners once again that the sun, the D3 the sun gives us, has 200 other amazing health benefits that just regular D3 soft gels cannot provide, even if you do
This
get
is
the
exactly
clean
it.
ones.
This is exactly it. The sun D and the D that is found in fish liver oil or fish brain oil, because the fish are eating the plankton, and the plankton are absorbing and making D from the sun. So if you can get a really good unprocessed form, there are some cod liver oils, but I used, the Polar Power. I
Okay.
get great results with it. It's well tolerated. It's got A, D, and astaxanthin. And we don't want to talk about vitamin A. It's the immune system vitamin.
I
It's
know.
the one that controls the smell and the taste.
I know, critical. What are your thoughts on zinc? How do you feel about the whole zinc craziness?
Zinc? Zinc is a craze, but if I'm going to go into COVID land USA and there's a pandemic and you ask me to come down and we're going to treat these 300 people, are you thinking I'm going to bring in zinc pills? You must be out of your mind. I would only bring in those things we've talked about, the oregano, the black seed, the Purely C. Now, zinc is needed for 200 enzymes. Zinc is good. You take it as a backup, but you can't rely on it. Look at
Right.
Trump. He has zinc everywhere, and he was sick anyway. Uh,
Well, I think
so-
too is so many people wait until they have the cough or the temperature, and then all of a sudden they're sending someone into my store or to the drugstore saying, "Oh, can you get this list of quercetin, D3, zinc?" And I tell everyone it doesn't work that way. You got to take care of yourself right now, even when you feel your best. That's when we start.
And you realize that those are all produced by industrial pharmaceutical. So they were allowed to have press. But oregano is produced by the villagers. They were allowed not to have the press. And the oregano works, but the other one, they just did a study on severe COVID-19, which we already did the study. I don't need to do it, but I did it anyway, on severe COVID-19 with people on respirators as well. The oregano worked every time, not 50%, not 90%, not, well, we're going to hide the results. They're not any good. This vaccine will work. We'll tell you it works. Just do what we say, even if the data is not good. No, none of that.
Okay.
But the D3 didn't do anything. Nothing in severe cases. You're absolutely right. They could be taking their D on a daily basis, their zinc on a daily basis. That's okay. But what good is it? You have to take something that kills the virus, that kills the pathogens, not just virus. The secret to this is almost every death in Italy of the elderly was from a bacteria.
Not a virus.
Proven on
Okay.
You have to take an antiseptic for this condition. You can't just take an antiviral. You can't just take an antibacterial. You can't take an immune potentiator. You must take something that has broad spectrum ability to kill viruses that could be compromising your system. That's what we did in our clinical trial. That's what I do every day, and that's what you're doing at your clinic.
Okay. So if someone is listening and they're getting right into their car to come to my store and get some oregano oil and they are sick, how much should they take today?
What was that?
Okay, so if someone is listening and they're like, okay, I believe you, Dr. Cass, I'm going to go to Joanne's store and buy oregano oil, how much would one person consume in a day if they do show symptoms to start feeling better?
What we found from our study was that if a person hits it and hits it hard with 5 or 10 drops every hour or two, they do really well.
Okay, 5
And
to
maybe
10
the
drops
capsules,
every hour.
too.
Okay.
The spray to the back of the throat and the sinus injection if they can. If they just take 5 or 10 drops 3 times a day, they'll do okay.
Okay.
But it's an aggressive disease, so an aggressive fight back, people. Don't be afraid of anything. Let the nature, let what our kind Lord has given us, and even mentioned it in the Bible, but nobody paid attention. But you use all 3 forms, and if you wish to, some people are raving about this Oregaresp stuff.
Okay, Orega respiratory,
It's that
I have
multiple
it.
spice I mentioned that
Yeah.
we studied in the in vitro trial.
I
It was
love
in
that
vitro.
one.
It was on viruses.
All right, Dr. Cass, I don't
Um,
want you to get cut off by the end of the show, which is right in just a moment. So I want to take a moment to wish you well, wish you the best, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending time with us this morning. I really appreciate your honesty, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Thank you.
I hope we do. You betcha.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, everyone. Well, that was Dr. Cass Ingram, the wilderness doctor, talking about how, Mother Nature provided us with these amazing plants. Let's give them a try. Let's not be scared of them. And I hope everyone has an amazing week and come on in the store and check out all the oregano oil. Thanks, everyone. Have a great one.
Joanne's World of Nutrition. Heard Thursday mornings at 10:05 on WPSL. Also on TuneIn on your cell phone, the Google app, and Alexa as well as the radio on AM 1590. This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.